Not only have I forgiven you, I make dua that Allah forgives you as well. I make dua that Allah forgives you as well. This is at the core of the tafsir of Surah Yusuf. Not all the other details that makes the story interesting and exciting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Two things we all need in life: hope and forgiveness. And this is what I want to share with you from the pearls of what we have been discussing in the tafsir of Surah Yusuf in recent days. Let's pick up the story from the point where, after the second trip to Egypt, the brothers now return, -2. Binyamin is kept back on the accusation of theft, and the eldest, Yehuda, he decides to stay back because Binyamin is not returning, and he wants to be there in order to try and resolve the matter of Binyamin. Yacub AS, his situation, his grief is now not doubled, but it's tripled. Already for 40 or 80 years, this is the separation from Yusuf AS. Now Binyamin, his second most favorite son, and on top of it, his eldest, Yehuda, he's been separated from all three of them. However, notwithstanding that, he has hope, he's optimistic. Asallahu ayyatiyani bihim jami'a. I have hope that Allah will bring all three of my sons to me. It doesn't mean he was not grieving. The very next verse, إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله يا أسف على يوسف. He says, oh, my grief over Yusuf. But he controlled his grief. And when people told him, you're grieving, he said, my grief, I register that with Allah. I don't complain to people. I complain to Allah. So he was grieving, but yet he was optimistic. Now, see the hope. Ya bani yadhabu. He says, oh my sons, go. فَتَحَسَّسُوا مِن يُوسُفَ وَأَخِيهِ. Go and look for Yusuf. And go look for his brother Binyamin. Yehuda, everyone knew that he was there. Binyamin also, they knew where he was. But in other words, he was saying, get him released. Look at a way of getting him released. وَلَا تَيْأَسُوا مِن رَوْحِ اللَّهِ. Never lose hope in the mercy of Allah. A Muslim can never lose hope in the mercy of Allah, no matter what happens. Here, Yacub AS, his grief is not just doubled, it's tripled, but he's reminding his children, لا تيأسوا من روح الله. Do not become despondent of the mercy of Allah. فلما دخلوا على يوسف, or فلما دخلوا عليه. Now the brothers come. This is the third trip to Egypt. They say, يا أيها العزيز, O King, مسنا وأهلنا الضر. As a family, we're going through a torrid time. We came the first time, we gave you some money, and we bought grain. You were kind enough, you returned the grain to us. We came the second time as well. Now, we don't even have money to pay you. We need the grain. We either have merchandise. وَجِئْنَا بِبِضَاعَةٍ مُزْجَاتٍ. We either have merchandise which is defective, and we need to use defective merchandise to barter for grain, or we have coins that are defective. The scholars have given both interpretations. But whatever it is they were using as currency, it was defective. So they're saying, we don't even have that which is usually acceptable, as currency. فَأَوْفِي لَنَا الْكَيْلِ. But we need you to give us the grain in full measure. وَتَصَدَّقْ عَلَيْنَا. And we need extra from you. What is the extra? Either we need extra grain, or we need our brother Binyamin back. It's shattering to our father Yacub AS. Inna Allah yajzil mutasaddiqeen. Listen, if you do extra, if you go beyond what we deserve, Allah will reward you. Some scholars have written that Yacub AS sent a letter with his sons, and he said, go and give this to the king. And in that letter it was from Yaqub, the son of Ishaq, the son of Ibrahim. And he wrote in the letter saying, listen, we are a family of prophets. We've gone through many difficulties. But one thing is for sure, we have never stolen. We are not thieves. Please release my son Binyamin. When Yusuf AS read that letter, he broke down. And he was sobbing and he was crying because his own father had written a letter not knowing that the recipient of the letter was going to be the very beloved son, Yusuf AS. Look at how the plan of Allah unfolds. Subhanallah, what a story. So Allah now gives him permission to reveal himself to his brothers. Look at how he reveals himself. He asks them a question. هل علمتم ما فعلتم بيوسف وأخيه إذ أنتم جاهلون. Do you know, do you remember what you did to Yusuf and his brother when you were ignorant. We all know what they did to Yusuf alayhi salam, but Binyamin also, they never used to treat him well. They never used to treat him well because he became the focus of their jealousies after Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was out of the equation, because their father became so attached to Binyamin after the departure of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam uses the words "id antum jahilun," when you were ignorant. It shows that he just wanted to explain something. He was not really intending to expose them. He didn't want to expose his brothers. When they asked the question, or when he asked the question, the brothers became extremely curious that how does this king know the story of Yusuf? They started to take a closer look at him, and that's when they realized, hey, this could be Yusuf himself. They said, "A'innaka la anta Yusuf? Are you Yusuf?" He said, "Ana Yusuf wa hada akhi." I am Yusuf, and this is my brother, meaning my brother from the same mother. We're all from the same father, but Binyamin and Yusuf alayhi salam shared the same mother. Now it brings me to the second point. The first part was about hope. We saw the hope of Yacub alayhi salam. Look at the forgiveness of Yusuf alayhi salam. Already at that time, you and I, when we had to now reveal who we really were, we would have been screaming and shouting and taunting and threatening the people who would have snatched us from the lap of our father and dropped us to the well. Would have told them, you know what I went through in life. I couldn't grow up with my father. I was accused of this. I ended up in jail. This happened. He already made an excuse for them. Forgiveness. In antum jahilun. Now, it is the hallmark of a great person. They focus on Allah's bounties upon them, not the challenges they have to go through in life. Yusuf alayhi salam's immediate comment after saying that I'm Yusuf. Yes, definitely it's me, Yusuf. This is my brother Binyamin. He says, قَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. Allah has been so kind to us. Allah has blessed us with so much. Then he tells them the recipe. إِنَّهُ مَن يَتَّقِي وَيَصْبِرْ. Because obviously they knew what he went through, living 40 or 80 years without a father. He said, listen, two things. If you have taqwa, if you are conscious of Allah, and if you have sabr, وَيَصْبِرْ, if you persevere, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Allah will never let your efforts go to waste. Now the game is up. They do a mea culpa, they acknowledge their wrongdoing. They said, تَاللَّهِ لَقَدْ آثَرَكَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا وَإِن كُنَّا لَخَاطِئِينَ. Listen, Yusuf, we were wrong. Allah has blessed you. Allah has favored you over us. We were jealous of you. We thought we'll remove you from the equation. We'll become the favorites of our father. But what was destined for you was destined for you. We dropped you to the well. Allah elevated you from the depths of the well to the heights of the throne of Egypt. We've come to realize that we were wrong. Allah had favored you, so Allah was going to favor you as per the interpretation of the dream. Now this is the forgiveness of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. He says, لا تثريب عليكم اليوم. There's no blame on you today. يغفر الله لكم. Not only have I forgiven you, I make dua that Allah forgives you as well. I make dua that Allah forgives you as well. This is at the core of the tafsir of Surah Yusuf. Not all the other details that makes the story interesting and exciting. Forgiveness. And he was ready to forgive the people closest to him. You see, at times it is most difficult to forgive the people who are closest to you. Because if somebody else betrays you, it's an outsider. It doesn't hurt as much. If your own brother betrays you, it stings like hell. It takes years to overcome the pain. It's something that's never forgotten. Yet, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam forgave them for the pleasure of Allah. Yaghfirullahu lakum. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam did the same thing to the Meccans who put him through so much of difficulty. And we see that same theme of making an excuse for them, not exposing them, and then forgiving them. When they went back to their father, and now they had to admit to their father, and they said, Ya abana astaghfir lana dhunubana inna kunna khati'in. That, oh our father, forgive us. You forgive us, and then you ask Allah to forgive us. He said, Sawfa astaghfiru lakum rabbi. Yacub alayhi salam said, I will soon seek forgiveness on your behalf from Allah. Why not immediately? The scholars say he was waiting for tahajjud time, when du'as are readily accepted, or he was waiting for a Friday, when du'as are readily accepted. He went through so much of grief that he lost his eyesight. He was so angry, so disappointed in them, but still he forgave them. That's the lesson. That's the primary lesson, really, in the story of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And then finally, when they all reunited in Egypt, Yusuf alayhi salam does not use the opportunity to tell his father exactly what they did. That, they put me in the well, and this is how they made me suffer, and they sold me off for a paltry sum. No, he said, Min ba'di and nazagha shaytanu bayni wa bayna ikhwati. That look, Shaitan created this issue between me and my brothers. Not their fault, really. They were misled by Shaitan. So, making an excuse for other people's wrongdoings, even if it's against you, forgiving them for the pleasure of Allah, and having hope in Allah, no matter how bleak the situation may look. Those are some of the key lessons that we learn in Surah Yusuf. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala grant us all the understanding. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.